Hello, ladies and gentlemen. KermMartian here, back with Train Simulator 2018. This is episode 7 of my Train Simulator 2018 series. This is also KermMartian Live number 28. Did I get that right? Number 29, excuse me. I did not get that right. You are joining us on the Northeast Corridor for something exciting. Thanks to the guys on the chat right now, specifically John Bush, The Last Millennial, and Deglin Sinclair, we have come up with a rather interesting consist for today. We have a pair of ES44 ACs, one in Norfolk Southern black and white. In theory. Where's the Norfolk Southern logo? It's on the other side? No, it's gone. Oh well. One in the BNSF orange and yellow, pulling a set of 10 Amfleets. We've got 4 coach cars, a cafe car, and 5 more coach cars. Let us open the doors, let people board. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, please get out of the station's platform. We do not recommend that you become incorporeal and stand inside the platform. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to please stop that. Sir, he can't hear me. He's wearing headphones. Quite the long train here. Quite the long train indeed. Doors are closing. Let's get ready to go. We have a wintry day. There is still snow on the ground. Apparently it's raining, but there's still snow on the ground anyway. Let's get ourselves into forward. Let us release our brakes. Very good. And let's get ready to notch up. 12% and off we go. Yeah, that's the stuff. Speed limit is 30 miles an hour. We have I think that's a restricted proceed. Well, if I'm using my keyboard and mouse, let's turn on windshield wipers on. My keyboard and mouse on my desktop for, streaming. If I want to like open Wikipedia and double check things, my laptop is good for that. I just heard a ding. I'm pretty sure somebody just sent me a message on Hangouts, and I'm pretty sure it's Elf Prince 13 saying heroes. It is indeed. Let's keep an eye on that speed limit as we edge out of Philadelphia's 30th Street Station. Take a look at our excellent train. Oh yeah. Gotta get some headlights going. Let's not speed. Headlights. There we go. Oh yeah. That is the stuff right there. And we're speeding anyway. Sorry. Screenshots are very important. Screenshots needed to be taken. Give ourselves a little bit of braking. There we go. Yeah, I like that horn too. Let's hear it from outside. Yes. That is superb. That is very superb. I'm going to stick ourselves out here for now. Just because that window is a little bit small to see through. It's been a while since I've been through the Philadelphia station. I think the last time was for a trip to Washington, D.C. on the Acela about, geez, it's almost 3 months ago now. Time flies when you're busy. Bell action. Asking you shall receive. There you go. We don't seem to be getting our ditch lights flashing. Oh well. We have a 60 coming up in about 4/5 of a mile. Also we have 5742 trailing 5309 at the front of our train today. Oh yeah. Thank you guys for suggesting some diesel action today. What chord? That's a great question. It sounds like a minor chord to my untrained ear. Too bad Chemitech Administrator Mersoft, who has a double major in both computer science and music, could not be here to give us confirmation on that. Let's play it safe. Let's stay under the speed limit. We have far too much power for the amount of load we have. I'm enjoying. Sorry, I paused there for a second to try to listen to what the radio chatter was. So it's going to be easy for us to accelerate well past where we should be in terms of speed. I suspect there will be AI trains. I think Train Simulator 2018 makes AI trains on the Northeast Corridor between Philadelphia and New York. But we shall see. We shall see indeed. Oh, I realized I probably didn't say. We're heading north from Philadelphia's 30th Street Station all the way to Newark Penn Station, not to be confused with New York Penn Station. I think I ranted about that in another video. You don't have to hear that rant again about the ambiguity between Newark Penn Station and New York Penn Station, especially since on Northeast Corridor Amtrak trains, those are sequential stations. That's a steep incline right here. 3.4% all of a sudden as we head up to the main line here. Let's get some throttle going. Not too much though. Although we can spin up our prime movers ready to slam the throttle into full once we get all the way into the 60-mile-an-hour zone. A minor A, you say? We are crossing the river just north of Philadelphia. I don't know what it is. It could be the Philadelphia River. Oh, that looks screenshot worthy to me. Ah, full acceleration, full throttle. Yes. Speed. Power. Unfortunately, we're limited to 45 miles an hour. I believe that's because we are a freight train. Well, we have freight locomotives. Actually, shouldn't we be classified as a passenger train? Nice, Declan. That is apropos. I hope we get a chance to really open it up here. Let's see what happens when we get in the 110. Oh, yes! Yes! Full power! Let's get some speed! Yes! That's what I like to see. Yep. That's good stuff. I'm working on it. Almost up to 60 miles an hour. We've got 8,800 horsepower of diesel locomotive pulling our am fleets along. I can't sound the bell. There's no reason for me to. I'm not in the yard right now. I would be breaking rules. That's an excellent question. I don't actually know the answer. Sorry for the hangouts in the background there. We are entering a 90-mile-an-hour zone right here. Can you guys hear me okay over the diesels, by the way? I can barely hear myself over those prime movers. Alrighty. Oops, speeding. Right. Because, of course, instead of a 90, it's a 60. Of course. That's a great question, The Last Millennial, and I will endeavor to answer. The bell is meant to be a continuous warning, and of course now it agrees we're in a 90. The bell is meant to be a continuous warning that the train is moving around. It's normally used in areas where trains move around frequently at low speeds, but, you know, may move around erratically, like near stations, in yards, etc. So it's to warn people who are near the tracks that there's a train coming. The horn is used for more specific warnings, you know, if there are men working on maintenance of way, MOW, at the sides of tracks where trains are supposed to be traveling at speed, at places like grade crossings, and you're also supposed to sound 2 shorts when you are departing a station or departing from being stopped. Okay, glad to hear that you guys can hear me okay. Let's speed right back up again to that 80 and hope we don't have any more surprise speed limits. .71 miles an hour, rounding this curve right here. Do we have a little super elevation? Not really. That's not really super elevated. I like that pinkish sheen of the UV filter on the window. That's quite realistic. I'm impressed. Now you know, the last millennial. Thank you for the excellent and intelligent questions. We do not seem to be accelerating much more. You said our top speed was 75 miles an hour. That's what you were saying. Thank you, Declan. That is very helpful. So I guess we're not going to be going much above 75, but that's all right. What we should do is start slowing down for that 50. Let's give ourselves 20% brake. Scenic view it is. You got it. Yes. I don't love orange and yellow as livery colors in general, but I do like the BNSF livery. I do indeed. 45? Where did that 45 come from? Okay. 45 it is. And accentuated by those silver bogies and fuel tanks is particularly nice. Almost down for the 45. That curve was quite flat. It was not super elevated, which is the technical term for a banked curve. I was surprised about that as well. I expect the curves to be banked on the northeast corridor, super elevated. The goal of those is to allow you to take the curves at a higher speed without either risking the train flying off the tracks or discomforting your passengers. Roads are super elevated or banked for the same reason. Oh, hello HHP8. That's interesting. I've never seen HHP8 AI on this route before. That's really, really interesting. Huh. Fascinating. That curve seemed a little super elevated, didn't it? Let's go to the end of our train and look. Yeah, a little bit. It's minor. No, it's there. That's super elevated. I do not know if there's a PGH line. That's a good question. We could be a passenger on our rather unusual Amtrak train being pulled by these freight locomotives. My colleague, co-founder and good friend Thomas was mentioning that on his train ride back from New York to where he lives yesterday, I think it was yesterday, it might have been the day before, I forget which direction he was going, that he got one of the Amfleet cars with the new seats. They put in new fancy gray seats. I don't know how I feel about those. I was always pretty happy with these blue seats. There didn't really seem to be anything wrong with them to me, but whatever, as long as they don't mess with the seat pitch. Oh, Pittsburgh. I don't think there are any, of course PGH is Pittsburgh, my mistake. I don't think there are any train simulator routes that go through Pittsburgh, sadly. Very, very sadly. Yes, so it would be correct about 10 years ago for there to be HHP8s along this line. Even up to maybe 6 years ago, I'd say. There should also be some Acellas, and there should be some, if it was modern day, ACS 64s pulling Amfleets. But I think they choose a relatively limited subset of the trains that are known to operate on any particular route for the AIs, because they don't want to assume that you've purchased particular DLC. Oh, is that what it is? I believe that they were difficult to clean. The new ones seemed a little less permeable and a little less breathable than the old ones, which I guess makes them easier to clean, but also, unfortunately, less comfortable. Thank you for that insight, John Bush. So since it has been over a month. In fact, I haven't streamed Train Simulator at all in 2018. I haven't streamed any games in 2018. So I'm glad you guys are joining me once again for some Train Simulator. So, since I last streamed on about December 28th, I think it was right after Christmas or so, real life train things. Last weekend I went to the Amherst Model Railway Show in Springfield, Massachusetts. It was a great deal of fun. Right in front of me I have my acquisition from that. It is a GP38 low nose Vermont Railway number 206. I have it right in front of me. I'm holding it up to my camera, but of course that's not going to really help. So a new acquisition in N scale for my eventual layout, which is very exciting. I also, other than going to the show, which was a lot of fun, I've been working a lot at the Trolley and Train Museum that I think I mentioned a little bit on my stream. We had been repairing an R17 New York Transit Authority subway car from the 1950s that went out of service around 1989 or so, I think. An Amtrak billboard, that's great. I missed that, I'm afraid. We were doing a whole bunch of repairs on it, completely rewiring part of the control group, taking apart and cleaning the relays, resequencing the MCM, which is a mechanical system that makes it figure out how to notch up resistance and notch down brakes. Oh, we are 30 miles over the limit because of that surprise limit. I really need to figure out where these limits are coming from. Oof, we took that at speed. Good for us not derailing. This is not how I drive real trains. 30 miles up over the speed limit. That should bring us down. Give ourselves a little bit of throttle just to even out the brakes there. Perfect. Thank you. Yes, so I as the last millennial is referring to the fact that I posted a video of the mechanics of what we were repairing on my channel. Do feel free to go take a look at that if you're curious. I and my colleague, who is the main sort of person that I work with there, who has been a volunteer at this museum for over 20 years and is very knowledgeable about various things. I consider myself kind of his apprentice, has taught me much. He took videos too, and I put them together into a video showing how the various pieces of the control system of this complex, they don't really have AI freight trains on this route, I believe, complex control system. Anyway, so 2 weeks ago we got that all fixed up, and I had the rare privilege of driving this R17 around their tracks. We gave it a bit of a shakedown to test out that it was working properly. So that was a lot of fun. I got to practice my real life subway train driving, my EMU driving, which I hadn't done in quite some time. I'm hoping to do that again soon, do more of that. I'm going to head back up there tomorrow for more work. We were hoping to do some track work tomorrow, something else I've done there at the museum that I'm learning. No, I didn't get to keep the train. Actually, one of my friends saw my pictures on Twitter of me with this train and thought I had finally managed to get myself my own train, but I had not yet. More on that later. So I'm probably going to go up there tomorrow and do some work on various indoor things. Oop, we have a train. We have an AEM7. An AEM7 pulling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Amfleet coaches. AEM7s are now completely retired on the Northeast Corridor. In fact, Amtrak wide. They have been completely replaced by the ACS 64 locomotives that are newer, easier to maintain, and have more power. I believe SEPTA is just starting to roll out its own order of ACS 64s from Siemens to replace their AEM7s. The R211, I do not love the idea of the open gangway cars. I think having separated cars makes a lot more sense in terms of everything from crowding to being able to specifically take single cars out of service in times of mechanical problem or odorous cars, things like that. I do not particularly love the open gateways. You don't like the ACS 64. What do you dislike about the ACS? Oof, those are fighting words right there. I'm quite fond of the ACS. I even have a miniature one. I wish I could keep that R17. I'm happy that it gets to drive around the museum, though. I'm happy it's all fixed. Hopefully, once I am certified to drive the public around in it, I'll have a chance to drive it for other people at the museum as well. Our next project is to work on a PCC. I do believe. I think that's our next project. PCCs being those kind of, you know them if you've seen them, they're kind of iconic bus trolleys that were used in quite a number of US cities. What else is new? What else is new? I did a little Amtracking in January up to Providence and back, nothing major. Oh, I've been working on Amtracker. The ACS-64 crashed in the first 3 months of its life? Really? I don't know if I've heard about that story. Actually, maybe I have read about that. Wasn't there somebody on the tracks, though? Wasn't it not an issue with the locomotive itself? That is my recollection, anyway. Gotta make sure the people at this station realize what an unusual train they have rolling by. These speed limits look fine, but I keep getting caught up by unexpected switching. Hopefully we're okay. I'll keep us at full throttle. Oh, the Philly crash. That was an ACS-64, wasn't it? Alright, alright. Well, that's hardly the fault of the ACS-64, though. I mean, number one, of course, the engineer lost situational awareness appears to be the latest verdict. And the fact that positive train control was not yet implemented, not yet turned on the northbound section of those tracks. You cannot track my train on Amtracker. Yes, I guess I should explain Amtracker. So, I think I may have talked on previous versions of previous episodes of my streams or my train simulator videos that I want to make an app for phones that lets you track your trains with some accuracy, your Amtrak trains specifically, get more accurate estimations of when trains are going to arrive, how late they're going to be, than Amtrak currently provides. They tend to be pretty optimistic about their on-time arrivals. They often have trains that are like 30 minutes late where they estimate they're going to make up all of the time that they're late by the time they get where they're going, which rarely turns out to be correct. We've witnessed that. We being Elf Prince and I have witnessed that quite frequently at Penn Station, that his trains that are coming north through New Jersey will be like, 20 or 30 minutes late, and they'll say, oh no, they're totally going to be leaving on time from Penn Station, and of course, that's not the case. So, I'm working on an app for that. A lot of that involves not so much, app writing, air quotes, I'm putting air quotes around that, but it's more about collecting data and coming up with ways to analyze that data. So I started an ancillary part of this project. You can check it out yourself at at.chemetech.net. I'll put the link in the description if you're curious. at.cemetech.net, and you can see a live view of where all of Amtrak's trains are around the country, how fast they're going, where they are. I'm working on adding the ability for that to keep a historical record of what happened with all those trains every day, where they ended up going, how late they ended up being at each station versus what they were estimated to arrive at, things like that. And then kind of the advanced version of that is correlate that with other information that'll allow me to, as accurately as possible, estimate those trains on timeness or their arrival times, etc. So there we go. There we go indeed. Tier 4s. So I only barely know what you're talking about. It's only recently that I've discovered that Tier 4, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Tier 4 refers to a particular class of environmental regulation compliance. Is that correct? I know this because 2 days ago, as is my wont, I was looking through Cummins catalog. Cummins is a diesel engine manufacturer, engine like the thing that has cylinders, not locomotive. They manufacture engines for trucks, for heavy machinery, including for trains. So I was flipping through the Cummins brochure trying to spec out the diesel engines that I want for CPR-R1. I remain very, very enthused about CPR-R1 being a reality someday. Thank you. Appreciate it. So I was seeing what they have available. I think I mentioned before, including with the prototype CPR-R1 that I have in the game that I've driven on several of my previous videos. ES44AC, no? Is it ET? These are ES44s. Is there an ET44AC? If so, that is news to me. Thank you, John. Where was I? Oh, yes. So I need to figure out a pair of 1,000 horsepower engines that I can put in CPR-R1. Run one of them when all I need is to recharge my batteries and get a little head-end power, or just move the car itself. I'm just realizing I'm going to need 2 alternators, one for HEP idling and one for actual traction power. And then the other engine will probably just need 1 generator for traction power. Anyway, so figuring that out. Figuring that out indeed. We are still steaming along. It's just under 75 miles an hour, 73 miles an hour. Where are we? We're near Bristol. We have another 57 miles to go to Newark. And I was happy to see that those Cummins engines are all Tier 4 compliant. So I won't have to worry about that. One of the things I'm thinking about, they offer this thing called rail packs. Rail packs are an integrated package you can mount underneath a car that has the engine, the alternator, the catalytic converter, and the control electronics all in one undercar package. If I want to use it on the CPR-R1, I'd have to put 2 of these together. I'm not sure I can fit that under my car, in addition to things like batteries and fuel tanks and waste management, water tanks, air compressor tanks, all that. Let's take a look at the map since you asked. Hope the game doesn't crash. There we are. Station names would be nice. Bristol Factory. What do we have here? Levittown. Alright, so we're nearing Levittown. I can only shudder to think what speed limits we're blowing through right now. Ooh, we have a service that's looks like is waiting for us. Let's keep our eye out and look for this. Full throttle, no braking. We are on release, and all is well. Oh, I know something I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about my rail radio listening adventures, which were from long before my last stream, so I'm sure I've talked about them before. I told you about current earlier today. Well, I told you a few things about current. Mateo helped too. If you found a more efficient motor and a lighter fan, could I successfully make a TI-84 plus CE USB fan? Yes. Hey, Conrail guy, it has been a long time. I was just saying to these guys that it's been over a month. It's been last year since I did my last stream around December 28th. Horn show with bell, please. All right, all right. Let's get a trackside view if we can. I'll try. Maybe not. Oh, train simulator. Fine, we'll race ahead. Do it ourselves. There we go. There we go. That's the stuff. So Conrail guys, since you're just joining us, we have 10 Amfleet cars being pulled behind a pair of ES44 ACs. We have one in black and white Norfolk Southern livery, although it seems to have lost its Norfolk Southern logo, and one in orange and yellow BNSF paint. So there we go. We are speeding along the northeast corridor, going from Philadelphia to Newark's Penn Station. Yes, if you had a more efficient motor that drew less current... Ooh, there is an Acela. Hold on. Oh, yes, perfectly timed. Perfectly timed. I don't know why there's white showing behind these taillights. Oh, yes. All right. Now, I don't think I can do this fast enough. Nope, I was right. But we can get a nice screenshot this way. Sorry, screenshot action is very, very important. There's nothing more important than screenshots. Well, operational correctness, but there we go. Other than that, very nice. Good catch. Yeah, so if you got a more efficient motor, the last millennial, that drew a little less current, even when the fan blades are attached, then you could certainly run that with your calculator. I think the limit is 50 milliamps. I think so. I think that's correct. You could also do something with current limiting, like add a resistor in series with your motor, although that's not going to yield incredibly good results, since a motor is a dynamic load rather than a static load. Well, this is going, I hesitate to say it, this is going uneventfully so far. Other than going massively over the speed limit, which would have given us a score of negative a lot of thousands of points in a career scenario. We haven't crashed, we haven't derailed, and everything is going along. Is it 100 MA? I couldn't remember. 100 MA I could believe. I thought it was either 50 or 100. For those not familiar, the USB spec specifies that if you have dumb devices that don't have a microcontroller or microprocessor in them, that you just plug into a USB port like a little LED light or a fan or whatever, that they can only draw a maximum of a certain amount of current. They have to explicitly negotiate with the host to ask for more current if they need more current, if they're a more powerful device of some sort, like a little beverage warmer or cooler, or a more powerful fan, or a phone charger, whatever it happens to be. I like these diesels in the snow. It's quite nice, the monochrome background with the, especially that colorful BNSF train right there. I think I mentioned in past streams that our troll in residence at Chematech, Nikki, aka Alan Folks Jr., loves to signal me pictures of awesome BNSF freight trains that go by his place of work, including their orange and yellow livery, some of the those plain fuselage carrier cars that you often see in photographs of BNSF trains along the West Coast, stuff like that. Anyway, let me see how many of the things that I was in the middle of talking about I can wrap up. I hate how many conversations I get myself in the middle of. I just kind of push onto my stack and see if I can verbally pop a lot of the things off the stack. So I was talking about diesel locomotives, diesel engines for CPR1. Still looking at that, figuring out what I want if a rail pack is going to do the trick. If I want to put 2 prime movers inside the train, if I'm going to have enough space for that, and then underneath I would put batteries, water, compressed air, fuel, all that good stuff. Air conditioning and power conversion. Hopefully I can fit in the roof over the little vestibule section that goes between the cab and the rest of the car. What else did I need to pop off my stack? Amtrak, I think I talked about that already. You should check it out. I'll keep working on it. I'll let you guys know about it as it goes along. I wish NickieBot had a better appreciation for trains too. Nicky himself has an excellent appreciation for trains. Clickety-clacking as we roll over some points here, some switches if you want to use the American term. I think I finished talking about my real trains that I go and work with. I have other things I could talk about that, but nothing I feel like talking about now, nothing set in stone. That car just disappeared, and that car reappeared. Fascinating. That's not supposed to happen. Look at all these cars over here just crawling compared to our train. I love that. I love when I'm on the section of the Northeast Corridor between New York and New Haven, and I see the cars on I-95 next to us going super slow compared to the train. The train is just whizzing past them, and think to those people, you should be on the train. Well, we're about to go 80 in a 30. That's not good. I wasn't paying attention. Let's hope everything goes okay with this. Sorry, Trenton. Oof. That's not what you want to do. That's not what you want to do at all. Down to the 30. And of course now we can go right back up again. Right back up to 80. Well, we gave our passengers a bit of a jolt there. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the sudden braking. Our engineer missed a speed limit sign. The good news is that everybody is safe. The bad news is you probably spilled a few of your drinks. However, we do remind you that we have our handy cafe car along this train. It is around the middle of the train, where we have a variety of refreshments and light food available for purchase. If you're in business class, remember that beverages are complimentary. I took enough trips on Amtrak in 2017 that I was able to move on to their select tier of frequent rider privilege. So among that comes a bunch of coupons to upgrade for free from coach class to business class along the Northeast Corridor, which I chose to do on a recent trip south to New York. That was very nice. Got some beverages, got comfy seats, played some Blockland with Elf Prince, and all went well. Exactly. It's part of our devious business plan. We'll spill your drink so you have to buy some of ours. It's interesting to me, this is on a totally unrelated note, that very few people ever bother joining the stream from Twitch. I know that people like other famous I know that famous YouTube train simulator players have a number of followers on Twitch, and I wonder how that happens. I assumed it was related to just showing the fact that you're streaming this particular game, but I'm beginning to think that it's more about social media, about letting people know on Twitter and other places that you will be streaming. It's interesting. I'm not complaining. I'm not in this for the masses of followers or for the I'm putting big air quotes around this money, if there's money to be made in making videos for YouTube, but I do find it interesting. 45.87 miles to Newark Penn Station at an average of about 70 miles an hour. That means we have 45 over 70 is what? Maybe 36, 37 more minutes until we get to Newark. Like Matt Pedalston, precisely. I was thinking of Mallman 978, my favorite of the train simulator YouTubers. For Train Simulator, basically not the last millennial. I basically make $0 for my Train Simulator videos. Some of my very popular calculator videos have made me a few dollars, but it's a pittance. I think I've accumulated a few $100s over about a decade of having my videos on YouTube. So it's nice to see those numbers going up, but it's utterly irrelevant to why I bother making videos in the first place. He can't drive? Oh, that's unfortunate. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand away from the platform edge. The following service will not be stopping at Hamilton. I make mistakes every once in a while, like the speed limits that I missed here, but especially when we're playing a career scenario, I do my best to drive as precisely as I can. It doesn't always happen properly. I've had the odd head-on collision. Well, one head-on collision. Everything else usually goes pretty well. I think I've had only like one accidental non-collision derailment and one collision. Everything tends to go pretty well. I aim for my 1,000 points on my career scenarios. Unless I miss a signal, which is what happened in this case. Very unfortunate. I maintain that the game itself made a serious mistake in putting me on the same track as this service. That would never happen in real life, and I would have had more warning about this particular signal. There was no yellow ahead of time, no restricted warning before. But I still should have seen the train coming and stopped in time, so that's my bad. Other than that, I try to do a good job. It's fun to laugh about the mistakes, but you may or may not know this term from the comic with the same text in it floating around the web. I'm a flower sniffing champion. If I do anything, I try to do it to perfection, so I try to drive my trains well. Let's go back to the scenic view for a while, I think. Interesting hearing the differing tones from the Doppler effect. Sorry, I'm amused. Yes, GeoPipe has been going well, thank you for asking. GeoPipe has been taking 180% of my time, all the time where I'm not playing Heroes to unwind or playing with real-life trains. I think that's pretty much all I'm doing to relax these days. I barely had time to touch calculators, as those of you who are nagging me for Doors CE know, but that's a discussion for another day. Yes, GeoPipe has been going well. We will be pitching at South by Southwest, a big festival in Austin, in the middle of March, in front of a crowd of, hopefully, a lot of people. It should be a lot of fun. That is actually the weekend right after I will be at T-Cube, TI's annual conference. I'm trying to prepare a nice, impressive, newish presentation to show the teachers there, teaching them programming so they can teach their students programming. GeoPipe things, other than SXSW, which is the abbreviation for South by Southwest. We are working on the product. We are working on customers. That's going well. We are working on the back-end technology. We're working on hiring summer interns and some full-time employees in various engineering and non-engineering roles. We have a part-time consultant who's been working with us on front-end stuff, so it's been going well. It's been certainly keeping me busy, and it's very exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to continuing to build out the technology and meet the needs of more applications, more verticals. That is definitely something that I am spending a great deal of time on these days. I'm gonna take a sip of water. Excuse me a moment. Next station we'll be passing through in a mile and a half is Princeton Junction. Keep an eye on the signals here. There are surprisingly few signals along the Northeast Corridor. The blocks are quite large in between signals. What about you guys? What's new and exciting? Train-related things in particular? Oh, and I can think of one more thing I can discuss train-related. Nearly at Princeton Junction. Very nearly indeed. With 39 miles left to Newark. We've got another Acela there. Hello, Acela. Hello, hello. Oof, the track is a little uneven. I saw some bouncing around with it. Also, this locomotive is so tall compared to the platform. Oof. Bouncy indeed. You made a Lego train. What kind of Lego train did you make? A real Lego train in real life? That's apropos. I was having a conversation with someone about my childhood collection of Lego trains, the awesome 9-volt trains, which are by far the best Lego trains. Oh, that was the other conversation I was going to finish about radio stuff. Oh, really? BNSF is the second. I mean, I'm kind of driving it. I'm telling it what to do. I'm just not in the BNSF locomotives cab. Close enough. Oh, that's a great idea, John Bush. Have you found a correlation between the train horns and the trains themselves? I would be particularly curious to apply some kind of sound recognition algorithm to be able to automatically, you know, connect a microphone to a microprocessor or an Arduino or something like that and automatically determine what trains are passing when, and then of course hook that up to a social media thing of some sort. Actually, that's interesting. If you could do that, I'd be curious about doing something similar to, I think there's this kind of crowdsourced flight intelligence thing where people with radios connect those to the internet somehow and figure out where flights are. in a kind of crowdsourced distributed fashion. I'd be very curious to do that with freight trains as well. Slow down. We have a 105. We're fine. Unless it's like a surprise 30-mile-an-hour zone. We should be perfectly fine. Yep. The 105 applies to us. Almost a year ago, it was March, it was a snowy day. I was at Jamaica Station on the Long Island Railroad in New York, and I saw two diesel locomotives on the Long Island Railroad, two Long Island Railroad diesel locomotives specifically, with one passenger car between them. And I'm pretty sure they were just doing that so they could go at passenger train speeds rather than freight speeds. Still going well, still going well. We are on slow lines, so to speak, so they being the virtual train simulator dispatchers might switch us back over to the fast lines at some point. I will keep an eye out for that. I don't think we have any in-cab signaling indicators in here. Looks like no. So I will not know if there's a restricted track speed somewhere. I think we need the outside view again. I am medium. My age is medium. Young enough to not be super old and old enough not to be super young. I think that about covers it. Somewhere between college age and retirement age. That's about how old. I'm sure you can easily figure it out from my online presence, but I'll make it slightly difficult for people. Aha! You are younger than I am. 12 is a good age to be, though. It's a good age to be a fan of trains as well. Actually, I don't think if I've seen you on my streams before, I don't think we've chatted. What is your particular connection to trains? A fan, a modeler? That's a reasonable guess for last millennial. That fits into the range that I specified. Pretty sure I know that John Bush would qualify himself as an all-around lover of trains, and the last millennial I think has just been kind of swept up along the way from being a Chemitechian to having our love of trains rub off on him a little bit, and I certainly salute his interest in learning more about trains and asking good questions. Ooh. That's cool. Wait, a network of Raspberry Pis? And also, do you mean classify visually or audioly? If I move us back here, we can get away from the roar of our diesel engines for a little bit. Ha! You feel like an adult. I feel like I'm not an adult yet. I think that's one of those paradoxical things that the older you get, the less like an adult you feel. It's just you have more insight into how to handle adult things, but I don't know. I increasingly feel like adults never really feel like adults. Visually, okay, yeah. Paradoxically, although visual recognition is theoretically a harder problem than audio recognition, it's been studied much more widely, much more deeply, in fact, than audio recognition. especially general sounds as opposed to specifically spoken language. Oh, that's cool. That's extremely cool. If you happen to find that link at some point, either during the stream or afterwards, John Bush, I'd love to see that. Oh no, you almost got hit by a Norfolk Southern train? Ah, an Amtrak almost hit you. Oh no, that's not good. That is not good at all. Do you play Train Simulator yourself, Diglin? Can I open my window? Looks like I can't. Boo. Better instructions. Yes, I agree. If you have any specific suggestions on how we can improve the user experience there, then do please let me know, The Last Millennial. We are happy to accept some feedback. I realize it's not very intuitive. Aha, I don't have a rail driver either, actually. I kind of want a rail driver. I'm a little concerned because it's extremely expensive for what it is, I believe. I'm concerned about the quality. I'm concerned about it ending up feeling like something flimsy and plastic rather than solid. You should get the game. They often have sales where the base game with a couple of routes is relatively cheap, like $15 or something. I mean, I guess that's only relatively cheap. $15 can be a lot of money depending on how much savings one actually has, but if you can treat yourself to it at some point, I do recommend it. I think I've spoken about him before. A dear departed person that I knew who was a big train fan that I really wish I could have spent more time learning from and working with, who told me one day excitedly that he wanted to get something that would let him play trains on his computer. I realized later he was talking about Train Simulator and Rail Driver, and I never got a chance to show him Train Simulator, so I'm quite sad about that. Quite sad indeed. That's a story for another day. You should post your suggestions. The topic where Comic Idiot interviewed Elf Prince and I about Geopipe would be a reasonable place, for example. Please and thank you. Alrighty. We have 25 and a half miles left till Newark. We are rolling along very, very smoothly still. Still on the slow lines. I'm a little surprised we haven't come across any other Amtrak trains or even New Jersey Transit trains that we need to be routed around. But I'm glad we haven't. We're almost at Jersey Avenue Track 1. This also makes me think that we should do a little bit more on the North Jersey coastline and the Morristown line soon. I kind of spoiled the Morristown line for myself by going way too fast in some fast trains. I didn't actually record this for a stream, sadly. It was just having fun on my own, driving a powerful diesel-electric DMU all by itself at ludicrous speeds, and I got down the route in such a fast time that it almost feels too slow to go down it at regular speeds now, but I'll have to do that soon. Thank you, John Bush. I appreciate that. I will take a look at that after this stream. Oh, there's another Amfleet. Hello there. One that stopped, no less. I wonder why. Amfleet with an HHP 8. Wonder what it's waiting for. Couldn't be us. New Brunswick is coming up. New Brunswick twack. I twat putty tat. Track 1. Some tall buildings in New Brunswick. Also, we have a 100-mile-an-hour speed limit there, but I think that's going to be perfectly fine. Perfectly fine indeed. Apropos of absolutely nothing whatsoever, I rewatched the movie Armageddon today for what I think was the 3rd time in probably about as many years. That is a ridiculous movie in which Michael Bay is Super Michael Bay-y. Uh-oh. Our train just ran through the... yeah. We just ran through the canopy there. That's really unfortunate. Explosions in space is how I would classify Armageddon. Fun movie. I think after you watch Armageddon, you have to watch Everything Wrong with Armageddon from CinemaSins, though, for context. That is a random thought. Moving on. Do I have a cab light in here? Looks like no. Not one that I can turn on and off anyway. Which is fine because Train Simulator tends to have a problem with cab lights causing lag. Next station we'll be passing through is Edison, New Jersey in 1.25 miles. Let's see if we can get ourselves all the way to Edison. I'll fly along this road here so we don't get hit by our train. Here comes Edison. I think I'm going to reach the limit of how far ahead I can make the camera go. Ooh, another train. Hello, train. Ah, here's Edison. Perfect. Do-do-do-do-do. Waiting for my train in the rain. Got my umbrella. Do-do-do-do-do. Where's my train? Where's my train? Do-do-do-do-do-do. Here comes a train. Maybe this is my train. Maybe not. Maybe not. That would be such an awesome sight. Standing on a platform and have that roll through. I would enjoy that. I would enjoy that even though the train wasn't stopping for me. Anyway, we've got a 90-mile-an-hour speed limit coming up in 1 mile. I apologize for that hangout dinging in the background. And there's an 80 after that and a 90 after that, so I think we'll be okay. Just keeping an eye on our speed limits. I want to try to be as professional as possible. We've already gone significantly over speed in 2 particular areas, and I'd like to not do that anymore. I appreciate you guys joining me for this journey today. We have 18 3/4 miles left, and it's been quite fun. I think this is only the 2nd time I've ever driven the Northeast Corridor, i.e. the New York to Philadelphia portion, on my stream. I believe I drove an Acela from Philadelphia all the way to New York one day. Newark is in... Wait, do you mean how far is Newark away? Newark is in New Jersey, if that's... I don't think that's what you're asking, because I'm pretty sure you know that. Please clarify, Declan. I'm not sure what you're asking. There's Metuchen. Metuchen, I've heard it both ways. Oh, New Jersey. Home of places like Metuchen. Or Metuchen. What's our signal there? Our signal is the highball. Green over green. Right where it's supposed to be. In New Jersey, on the Northeast Corridor between New York and Philadelphia. It's about 15 miles from New York City, probably. Somewhere between 15 and 20 miles from New York City. Starting from New York Penn heading south, it is Secaucus, and then Newark Penn, and then Newark Airport, or Newark Broad Street, and then other stations. I think Brick Church right after Newark Broad Street if you're going along the Morristown line. I will be there in... the game thinks I'm going to be there in 23 minutes. I don't think that's correct. I'm pretty sure, unless something goes terribly wrong and they make us wait at a signal for a long time, I should be there in, let me give you an accurate estimate, about 10 minutes. I'll reach there about 12:10 p.m. in the game, or almost exactly midnight in real life in Eastern Time. I'm in Eastern Time, so it's 11:52 p.m. here for me. Let's stay in the cab as we approach Newark. Ooh, our suspension's really working. Oh, what else? Oh, I was going to... so I can think of two other topics I was going to mention. So one of them is I'm going to be taking a long train trip in the middle of March after this conference expo sort of thing that we're going to be going to for GeoPipe. I'm going to be taking a very fun ride afterwards along 3 different train routes. I will be on... well, 4 actually. I'll be on the Texas Eagle, the Cardinal... nope, I went with the Capital Limited, and then the Northeast Corridor. So that should be a lot of fun. I'm trying to figure out if there are going to be any other train rides for me within that period of busy travel. Probably not, unfortunately. There'll probably be flights, which as a tall person I hate. I hate flying. Metro Park is coming up, by the way, in almost immediately. And then the other thing I want, and of course, so I'll of course keep you guys appraised of my train travels. I'll be posting lots of photos. Feel free to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, by the way. I try to post a lot of fun train things, including I'll hopefully have some train things from my adventures tomorrow. I am KermMartian, same as my YouTube and Twitch username on all of those mediums, KermMartian. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is how much fun it was listening to the radio when I was taking my last cross-country-ish Amtrak trip, when I was going back and forth from New York to Milwaukee and back in September of last year, 2017. And it was awesome to listen to both the Amtrak drivers talking to dispatchers and to the freight train engineers, and then the freight trains talking to each other and to their dispatchers. Lots of banter, lots of fun, lots of lighthearted, but, you know, proper railroading. Lots of fun. If you have the opportunity to get yourself like an RTL SDR, I do highly recommend that. It's a lot of fun and cheap. It's like 20 bucks. Just connect it up to your computer and you're all set. I think my sleeping car attendant on the way back may have tucked away the very, very long antenna I was using to listen, so I don't know if that was slightly suspicious, but I swear I wasn't doing anything suspicious, just listening to the trains. I will definitely let you know how the Texas Eagle is. I was hoping to do the what's the one that goes from Texas to New Orleans? Sunset Limited? I think that's the Sunset Limited. I was hoping to do the Sunset Limited to the Silver Meteor, but alas, I just couldn't get it to work out. Among other things, it would require like a one-night stopover in New Orleans. Next time I'll take that. I'm sure one of my unspoken goals, I don't think I've thought about it in so many words, is to take all of Amtrak's routes. Time to power down and start braking for the 60 right here as we go into Rahway. Let me use my actual controls. Oh, there's my brake. I guess I could be using dynamic brakes, but for that I'd have to actually touch the handle, which is fine. A little bit of dynamics. Beautiful. Give us a little throttle so we stay at speed. My dynamics still on? There we go. Can't take throttle if you have your dynamics on. Yeah. Yeah, the Texas Eagle, unfortunately, also only runs between Austin and San Antonio. Well, from Austin all the way to California, for that matter, 3 times a week. So I'm doing this awkward thing where I'm taking a 3-hour trip from one Texas city to another, staying overnight in a cheap motel, and then heading out at 7 a.m. on the train the next morning, because that was pretty much my only option. If I was trying to go to New Orleans and then to New York that way, I would have to stay over 2 nights, one night in Texas and then the next night in New Orleans, and that seemed like a little too much. A little too much, especially given my need to do actual work along the way. I'll try to keep myself busy with geopiping. We have just 10 miles to go until Newark. I may have slightly underestimated the amount of time it was going to take to get there. Thank you, The Last Millennial. I appreciate it. I'm sorry it is late. I'm sorry you won't be able to join me for the very end of the stream, but you were here for most of the time, and I appreciate that. Having the company and the moral support and the good questions is always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Please do join next time as well. And thank you for your patience in how long it took me to get the stream going today. I expected to do it much earlier in the day. See you soon, The Last Millennial. Just idling because we're at 60. Another Acela over there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I need to work on my N-scale Acela project a little more. I got stuck somewhere along the process of cutting down the chassis to fit the body shell. I need to get a real, well, I want to get a real DCC decoder that's a little better than the one Bachmann puts in their cafe cars, or actually in their HHP8s, excuse me. I've been hacking up HHP8s as the motive power inside my Acela power cars. Unfortunately, they discontinued the HHP8, which is perfect for this, and they shot up from $40 to like $150 at the Model Railroad show I was at last weekend. People were selling them for between $100 and $150. I found a little bit of a way to get them cheaper, well, get the necessary parts cheaper, that I may take advantage of. I'm not going to say what it is. We are in Linden, New Jersey. Linden, New Jersey, 9 2/3 miles to Newark Penn Track 1. And it is noon on a very, very snowy day. Well, rainy, snowy, rainy. This rain should really be melting the snow if it's really rain. One day I dream that Train Simulator will have slightly more nuanced weather. One day. In my headcanon, these people on the radio are joshing about with each other as they go. I know this trestle over the tracks. I remember seeing that in real life. Keeping my eye out for any signals that we need to obey. Even though we're in the scenic view right now. What do we have up there? We have a restricted. Fascinating. I guess I should obey the restricted. Unless that's just for the speed limit coming up. I will start restricting. Just in case. That should do the trick. Moving along now at just under 50 miles an hour, with just under 7 miles to Newark Penn. What do we have here? Red over green, red over flashing green, even more restricted. I think that means we have to go down even further. Yep, 45. Yep. Let's check the iron. Do we have the iron? We have it. Wait till our whole train gets onto this track and we should be able to accelerate again. In theory, anyway. Maybe not. Oh well. Give us a little speed though. We are nearing Elizabeth, the station of Elizabeth, New Jersey, which I believe may be our last. Nope, then Newark Airport, then Newark, I believe, on this line. Now we can go up to 55. Let's do it. Let's get some, you know it, speed! Pretty sure we're clipping through the platform here. Ooh, not quite. Barely making it. I don't know if I would trust that. North Elizabeth, fine. North Elizabeth it is. That is a low rumble from our prime mover. I like it. I'm kind of curious to find the audio files of the radio chatter in Train Simulator's files and just listen to them by themselves. We are in the 90. Let's go full throttle, full power for our last little run into Newark. Yeah, so I would have slowed down for those areas where I was speeding too much. Had I paid a little bit more attention to the signals, I apologize about that. I will do better next time. What do we have here? We have the eyeball. Unless we get a countermanding signal, our next limit will be a 70 and a mile and a half. Which will itself be less than 3 miles out of Newark Penn. Ooh, we get to go up a nice little incline here. And then down again. Does that mean we're switching sides? It might. Whee! Up a 2.4% incline. That's serious. CPR R1 would struggle with that with this consist. Yep, look at that. And down the hill we get some nice acceleration. We have a speed limit of 70 going into Newark Liberty. Green over green. Sounds like he's saying Foreman to Dan Hernandez. That may be what's happening right now. Right here, right here. Passing through Newark Liberty, Airport A. 2.5 miles to Newark, Penn. So we're nearing the end of our journey. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a great pleasure to drive you once again in Train Simulator 2018. I can't believe it's been a disappointingly long time since I put together a stream. It's been so busy and I haven't found the time to put one of these together. I'm glad I've been able to. Ended up being, I guess, a bit over an hour and a quarter or so. I look forward to posting. 10 miles an hour. Oh, bother. How did I miss that one? I look forward to putting this up on YouTube, and now we're back to 70. That doesn't seem correct to me. That does not seem correct at all. For those of you who weren't able to join me for the stream, but I hope you will subscribe, if for no other reason than to get a notification when I stream Train Simulator 2018 next time. Nice American flag right there. And other than that, I hope you have enjoyed the journey. A few little speeding incidents notwithstanding. As always, I'm more than happy to field your suggestions, your comments, your questions, your concerns, and anything else Train Simulator, and in fact trains in general related. I'm always particularly keen to hear your suggestions on what you would like to see me drive on my streams. If you're here near the beginning of the streams, the open, not so secret is that the people who join at the beginning help me on the route selection screen, figure out what I am going to drive and where I'm going to drive it, just as John Bush and the Last Millennial and Deglin did today. So you should join for that if you're interested in helping direct the shape that the stream takes. I was going to say the direction that the stream goes, but that's too many directions. Decelerating into Newark, Penn. We have to be down for a 35 here. Which we are. Very nice. I got it. I got you, fam. 35.0. Professional. What do we have ahead? We have... Are those signals actually facing us? They're so hard to read in the rain. Diagonal yellow. Let's restrict ourselves to 30. Very good. And start to stop. The game very much disagrees with reality about where the platform actually is, which is amusing. Thank you, John Bush. Thank you. I'll roll in here at a sedate 15 miles an hour. I'm not sure why Train Simulator and the HUD disagree so much on where the platform is. Let's finish from out here. This ought to be interesting. Ooh, I like the way the lights shine on those ceiling beams. Start to put some brakes on, I think. And there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Newark Penn Station. This is the final stop on this service. We ask that everybody disembark. Please make sure that you have all of your belongings today, and thank you for riding Amtrak. We look forward to serving you again in the future. Those doors don't seem awfully open. Let's make sure they're open. Well done, you have reached the end of this quick drive scenario. So thank you guys once again for joining me. It's been a lot of fun. It's fun to get back into this, and I look forward to continuing again in the near future. Be well, have fun with trains, and see you guys in the next video.